this is amazing. I was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostyn and Cam Waters.
It's motorsport, but not as you know it. Test yourself and your everyday road car. Safe, affordable, but most of all, fun. And all you need is your daily driver. Experience the thrill of a sprint day. Race against the clock at a hill climb. Or test your reflexes with an auto test. It takes just 3 simple steps to get started. Get on the start line. Search Motorsport Australia Daily Driver today.
Fishies in a row. They're here to make a point and to do Eddie proud. They fan out in the background as they come down to turn 1 for the first time. It all looks pretty good, 2 by 2. We'll stop the camera here. Oh, Eddie would be proud, mate. That was awesome run around turn 1. But, oi! Contact with the fishies.
He's made it through. It doesn't look like Angus has made it, but Thomas Freeman's made it through, and Angus is going to suffer the crowd coming through there to be able to turn his car around.
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannon's insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride, whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride.
ride with Shannon's.
Call 134646 for a quote.
And they are off. It was a good start from Dylan de Bono. I think Phil Vella got a great start there in the background as well. You can see already cars going 5, 6 wide as they're trying to find any semblance of space. They come into T1. So far we've got 2, 3 wide as they snake down. There's Michael Conchar that's got around Dylan de Bono. A couple of cars going wide there. Was that a bit of contact in the back? Scott Pocock caught up in that, I think, there, buddy. But it's Michael Cullajar's got past, so Dylan.
Light is coming out and we're about to get going, and we have green lights and a very slow start for the 86s, but they are moving out there on the grid. It would be very interesting to see exactly which driver can capitalise on this first lap. Just go through the grid. Look like Jamie Christensen had a really awesome start to get ahead of Dylan de Bono, and Doug Gowage also jumped his teammate as well, so unfortunately Dylan stalled the car a little bit more than what he preferred. But
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
Still great classes of car, and if you are able to, if you're coming up the ranks on iRacing through the licenses, it's a fantastic sort of laneway into prototype driving, going from that GT3 up through the prototype classes. As the safety car pulls in, we get ready to go green as we come up towards the line. Edwards, Hasler, who's going to get the jump down to turn 1, or will any of the fishies, any of the piranhas in behind them, assault them down towards
green and they're
this
off.
first lap? Let's go here.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannon's.
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover,
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
This is amazing. I was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostyn and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because Tell you what, Bruce Tanek and Jamie Dyson just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up the inside, but he hasn't committed, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if we get a good run. He's up the Dodds, just absolutely competitive. Really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
Good evening, sim racing fans. Welcome to SRW TV once again. Tonight we jump back into the world of open wheelers for the 8th and penultimate round of the Season 1 2024 of the Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals. With only 2 rounds to go, we have an action-packed night ahead with a sprint round double race at Phillip Island. It's Cowie Average Sim Racer here. I'm back together with Hamish Munro. Once again, he's in front and behind the cameras looking after the action tonight. Well, buddy, 2 rounds to go. This is where those final moves start to come into play for all of our drivers.
Mate, that's exactly right. It's going to be a massive end to the season. Good evening to you, Cowie. Good evening as well to everyone who is watching us out here tonight or wherever you are in the world, wherever you are joining us, of course. Big night of racing coming our way. Cowie, Phillip Island always offers up a little bit of spice, and having it at this point in the season is definitely going to shake things up here tonight. I would say. I think it's really going to offer us up an opportunity to see how willing the drivers are to really push their limits coming into the final round next time out. And, you know, it is just a track that just works so well for this point in the championship, for these types of cars and these types of drivers out there. It's going to be absolutely epic to see all the action out on track tonight.
This is one of the tracks that the drivers have been looking forward to for a while. So it's sort of got that, I suppose, mystique in the F3s of being a great track for this car. And a lot of the drivers spend, you know, a fair bit of time here learning how to drive the car. So that means that, you know, we're going to see confidence in, you know, a majority of the field here. That they're going to know how they want to tackle this race. Now, generally, when you've got confident drivers, it makes for an exciting show.
Man, that's exactly right. And we've got a great show coming up here tonight and for next week as well. Championship is incredibly tight up the top end of town, Cowie, of course. Now, the big news coming into this round is that Caleb Ballack will not be here for the final 2 rounds of the championship. So, unfortunately for him, he cannot contest for that championship, currently led by Daniel Byrne on 996 points after drop rounds are included. This is the final round that can be dropped. If any of the drivers want to have a poor round, and they haven't already, then it needs to be tonight. They do not want to have it next time out because it cannot be dropped. David Gallo P2 at the moment, so Carlins is dominating up the front at the moment. 984 points at the moment, so about a 12-point difference between the top 2. Ballack's P3, but again, he won't be contesting in the final 2 rounds, so his championship run is over, done and dusted at this point. Will Ryan, impressive run so far. He's up 1 spot since we last checked into the championship standings a couple of weeks ago. He's on 844 points at the moment. And then we got Andrew Johnston in behind as well. He is on, I wrote it as 844 points. I hope I was right when I actually wrote it. I just want to double check it. Because I just want to make sure I am actually right now. Johnston's on 844. Sorry, Will Ryan's on 934. So I miswrote that one there. But Ryan on the 934 points. He's still within the hunt. He's 50 points off the back of Gallo. So a good run here tonight would get him nice and far up the order coming into the final round next time out. P5 in the championship, Andrew Johnston, he's back up into the top 5. He's currently on 844 points, as I mentioned. And then Greg Bradley, he's now up into the top 6, up 3 spots from where he was a couple of weeks ago. He was down in P9. Now he's up to P6, 857 points and up 3 spots, as I mentioned. So it's going to be a good run, Cowie, into the final round, as mentioned. And it's going to be close for all of the classes out there. Obviously, the pros, top 2 battle for that at the moment. Will Ryan's in there too if he can get a good finish. Johnson and Gerard, they're not too far off each other either. Johnson's on the 844, as I mentioned. Gerard's on 832, so there's only 12 points separating those boys for P1 and the Pro-Ams. And then for the amateurs, Mark Cochran at the moment, he leads the way to Rossender and Tessiero after drop rounds as it stands. So it's going to be nice and tight for us, Cowie. Going to give us a good show in the final couple of rounds.
Look, there's a couple of close, talking points. I mean, talking with the Carla Motorsport boys last week, they assure us that there's no team orders in play. They're both going to have a dig tonight. So we'll see how that goes with the two teammates up front. Andrew Johnson, well, he had a 162-point lead before last week. That's been cut in half, so he can't afford, another ordinary round. I mean, he's still got a healthy lead, but, as we've seen before, things can change in a heartbeat as far as championships go.
Well, mate, that's exactly right. And Phillip Island always offers us up a little bit of openness or a little bit of chance for that to happen, doesn't it? You can always get something happening here. I mean, that firsthand happened out in the Supercars round 1, out at Lukey Heights. You can get caught out of nowhere to go, and there's just a car in front of you. It can happen. I remember back that we spoke about pre-race. It was round 1 of Vets for Split 2. That was a bit of a wild ride for a lot of the drivers out there. It is just a track that can promote a little bit of chaos, but also promote some fantastic racing as well. And that's what I think a lot of people love about it is kind of, it's not really thought about as one of the little, gems in the crown when it comes to Australian motorsport. But I'd argue that Phillip Island, is it as famous as Bathurst, but just not as, all-round loved as what Bathurst is?
It's a difficult track in the V8 Supercar. There's sort of quite a couple of parts that are unloaded. As you can see, they're coming up around the Great Southern Loop, where the car wants to slide. Now, one of these things, with that downforce, well, it's carrying more speed through there. Again, we keep talking about it, but it comes back to commitment. The guys that have got these cars down pat just push that little bit harder, get that bit more grip, and they know where the limit is. And we've said it before, the top-notch drivers are the ones that are able to react instantly when something happens, and that gives them a chance to catch it. The rest of us, we might make a mistake there, so therefore our level doesn't keep up as high as theirs, and that's that speed advantage.
So on board at the moment with Dylan DeBono as he goes for his first attempt at a qualifying lap here tonight. Ray Douglas in the chat saying, "G'day guys, is it going to rain tonight? Will be interesting." No, so there's no rain for the F3s, Ray, and there's no rain for season 1 of SRW. We've already confirmed that none of our series will have rain this season. Dylan DeBono, what was that run into Miller? That was just no brakes, all glory, it seems, but that's going to end his run there for his first lap. Up now with Marcus Knitska coming around the Southern Loop. So yeah, no rain tonight, Ray. We won't get rain until season 2. The earliest we could get it for this series is when we move over to the SF24 for our F1 Shadow round in between the end of this season and the start of next season. And that's one thing to remember as well. Tonight is an F1 Shadow round as well, representing the Australian Grand Prix, of course. So drivers will be thinking about that year-long championship standings as well. Obviously, Daniel Byrne, defending champion, he's out there. Current championship leader for that series, Caleb Ballack, is not, as mentioned. So going to be some good points for Daniel to make up on him here tonight.
Well, that's one of the things you can think of. It's going to be the final F1 round for the F3 as we move over to the new Super Light. And, it's only 2 weeks from when we hang this car up for good. I remember the old SR8 before it got shelved, and there was a few disappointed drivers. So I think, the big thing with the new car is everyone's hoping that the racing is going to be just as good. One of the things that is a big appeal of these cars is they're fairly simple to drive. There's not a lot of aids, and you get a really good feel for being near that edge of grip.
I know I've spoken to a couple of drivers, Cowie, about the changeover, and they've said that the new car feels even better. It feels so much better through corners. Obviously has a little bit more downforce. It's a little bit slower down the straights, but they can find that grip limit a lot easier. And the only extra aid that you have in that car over this one is DRS. That's the only difference between them, is they have a halo, a bit more downforce, and DRS on them. That's the, that's what you get.
But I will say, I know when you come from a car that feels so alive in the rear, it steps out on you, all that, and you come to a car that doesn't do that, it can sometimes feel a bit lackluster. So I certainly hope it doesn't go down that road, because, these guys come back and race these cars because they're, you know, one of the most fun open wheelers to race on the service. And, you know, it's just so close each week with these guys. We talk about it. We don't separate these guys by tenths. We look at hundreds first and thousands in a lot of cases.
That's exactly right, mate. We're on board now. David Gallo, provisional pole position at this stage in time. It was an absolutely epic lap from him last time round, getting a 122.86. He just pipped Scott Pocock for pole position. He had a 122.89 when he crossed the line, but wasn't quite good enough. But he has now gone better in the first sector than what Gallo did on the last lap. So we could start to see the time come down here for Pocock and Gallo. Burns up there too in P3, 123.17, so he's not too far off the pace. Bradley P4 and then De Bono in P5 as it stands. So the times will start to come down, obviously, and those gaps will start to shrink throughout the proceedings of this session.
Already a couple of drivers into the 122s. Gallo and Pocock with 3/10 over Byrne and Bradley at the moment. So again, you know, we see it. It's close. Generally, it's really close between 2, maybe 3 drivers. Then there might be a little gap of a tenth, and then it's close between another 2 or 3 drivers. And what it means, these guys get used to racing each other. And there's a few of them that have been here for a few seasons now, and have got a really good feel of giving each other room. And the moment you start doing that, the racing just comes alive, as far as I'm concerned. You're battling people, you get a grin on your face, and building up a sweat and loving it.
Well, Scott Pocock did go into provisional pole position on that last lap, Cowie. 122.69, so it was a great lap from him. De Bono goes P3 at this stage. We have got the lap times up on screen as well as the intervals as well, so we can see how close it is. Every driver from P1 down to P23 are separated by less than half a second for the car ahead of them or behind them on track. It is absolutely epic. Callan Hodgkinson, the only one off the pace, who currently sits last on the grid in P24. Sam Catacasinos yet to go out on track in qualifying.
Well, one of the things that a track like this works, because it is a popular track for this car, and because it's an Aussie league, so we always love our Aussie tracks, it means that even the guys that are maybe the ones that don't get to practice that much, you know, rock up an hour before the race and that's their practice. Well, this is, you know, this is like your backyard. This is home. So these guys have all done laps here before. So I think we're not going to see as many mistakes tonight. We may still see some because the guys are pushing hard.
I was about to say,
rookie
Cowie,
mistakes you don't see.
Yeah.
The rookie ones we're not going to see as much.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, even if you expect there to be no incidents at Phillip Island, you can definitely still have some, for sure. And I guess it also comes down to the expectations. We don't expect drivers who know what they're doing around here to have incidents. But because they know what they're doing, they know where they can attack, but they also know where they can defend. And sometimes those lines can get crossed, and you get drivers crossed up on track. So, but it should be good to see, though. But yeah, I doubt.
Perfect segue, mate. Perfect segue. Think about it. What do we normally talk about?
That's true.
How many tonight?
I want to say. I mean, I was on the dot last week with the 1. I want to say 1 again because it is a sprint round. I think the first race, sometimes you're a little bit hard pressed to get it. No, you know what? I'm gonna go 2. I'm gonna back myself and go 2, possibly 1 in each race. Phillip Island's a track that can lead to those sorts of incidents happening, and with these cars being so weak when they come into contact with each other, even though there's a lot of runoff here, it's a fast runoff. Like, you can hit the wall very easily. So I think 2's a pretty fair assumption.
Oh, well, I'm thinking you've left me a little bit of room here, because if you had said 1, I probably would have gone 0 for the first time ever. Right? So you've left me a bit of wiggle room here, buddy, so I'm going to go 1.
Yeah, I thought I'd be nice and give you some wiggle room after my win last week, so got to make it a little bit harder for myself this time by just kind of shake it up a little bit.
Oh, it's not really in me to say 0 because, you know, I mean, we all love to see, you know, a bit of carnage out there, and, you know, when a bunch of things back up, you know, and you end up with fast guys, you know, behind the solid guys that reverse top 10, you know, I know, it's all spice. It's all an ingredient, but it's like, you know, KFC's 11 secret herbs and spices. It's definitely one of them.
Oh, mate, they're not even that secret anymore. You can find it online very easily.
Yeah, pretty much.
But, yeah, I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to come up tonight. It's very rare. I want to say it's very rare that we get zero safety cars, but it has happened pretty consistently. But maybe our opinions or our predictions come more sort of what we personally want to see as well. Like, I don't want to see more than 2 safety cars after seeing Bathurst where there was 3. But I also don't want to see 0 because it gives us an opportunity just to back the field up a little bit and let the drivers have an attack on each other out on track as well. Ray Douglas saying, "Go Grandpa Dougie, hit the button to activate your rear spoiler, old son."
Well, he does bring up a good point, Ray, though, because look, you know, De Bono and Gowans, the Velocity SimLab boys, running P4, P5 at the moment. They don't have a championship to worry about, so it's all going to be about the result tonight. Now, do Gallo and Byrne, you know, play that game? Do they maybe let the De Bono and Gowans through? Do they decide not to have a piece of a battle with them? You know, it's just another nice little development that might spice things up tonight.
That's true. They're also in a championship battle of their own. And unfortunately for Will Ryan, who is now provisional P3 in the championship thanks to Ballack not being here for the final 2 rounds, Ryan's in P19 on the grid at the moment. So this is not a good start to the penultimate round that he would want here tonight. And then Greg Bradley, who's P6 in the championship, he's currently 6 on the road. So, you know, their challenges, they're not quite where they need to be. You know, Bradley really needs Byrne and Gallo to both have a poor night tonight and force the drop round. But Ryan really needs to be up there as well, just to, you know, try and bring the fight to them. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out for them.
So far, I don't think has he put a lap in yet, Ryan? He has put one
He's P19 at the moment, on board with him now. 1:23.8 was his best time. He's off the pace a little bit here tonight. But his last lap, he was only 3/10 off the time of Scott Pocock, to be fair, who got a 23.7.
Remember when I talked about, you know, like this is a favourite place for everyone, they probably love driving here. You know, he might be that outlier that's, you know, is the one guy that hasn't done a lot of laps around Phillip Island like some of the others.
Well, maybe it's not necessarily he hasn't done a lot of laps. Maybe it's just a track that he doesn't necessarily gel with.
I could have made a mistake as well, and, you know, suddenly there's a second out there, but at the moment, Sinkovic is only a 10th off him at the moment, so Sinker will be absolutely stoked with that.
Well, a second is what he's going to need to try and find if he hopes to get into that top 3. He is just around about a second off the back of Gallo's lap time. So that shows you how tight they are between P2 and P19. They're separated by just over a second. And when I say just over a second, it's literally 600ths. Like, that is how tight it is up the top end of town. So there is absolutely nothing in it at the moment. And it'll be very interesting to see how they all line up.
He's struggling a little bit. Has he got some green sectors up there at the moment? Because it could have been possible that that previous lap, you know, he's made a mistake on one, or, you know, wrecked the car, had to start again, and then you've got to do another 2-3 laps to get it up into that window. He's got his teammate in front of him here.
He's on
so
a green at the
possibly
moment.
Be a tow.
Yeah,
he could get a nice tow here.
He could. He's got a green in the first sector at the moment, just avoiding an incident there that was off the second to last corner. That's another thing we need to talk about tonight, Kerry, as well, is the danger of some of these corners on this track. Obviously, second to last corner, if you catch that bump wrong and you don't know how to run the car out of there, we could see some very easy incidents happen. That puts Ryan up to P15, but now 16 because Kanitska goes better as well over that last, Katakazinos goes into the top 10. I do apologise. So he's finally out there cutting laps. So everyone are doing laps at the moment. Sinkovic currently making up the rear of the grid. Tashifi just ahead with Schmalenberg, Dean Sinkovic as well, Tessiero and Wakefield. So all those drivers just struggling to try and get within those sort of 23.7s or even into the 23.6s as well. The pace may come for them though throughout the race, obviously, and if they can keep it clean, they may make up some free spots due to incidents happening out on track as well.
It can be quite difficult. I mean, you've got to probably time that last run there, Ryan. That's probably his last run. he may get a chance to finish the second run here. So if he's managed to, you know, improve, but he won't have that toe that that was actually really well set up by his teammate there, I think. And his teammate's in a position to be able to get a toe here for the final section. So it's worked out pretty good. Is that for Konitska?
He's on a green at the moment in the first sector. Middle sector, he's still struggling to find the pace. So then that might be where he's struggling. Kind of through Siberia up into Hayshed and through Lukey Heights. Comes across the line though. It's an orange sector in the third again. That may not be good enough for a gain. It wasn't. It was only a 24.6. So that'll be the final attempt that Will Ryan has to get into the top 10 of qualifying. But Scott Pocock is currently provisional pole position. That's qualifying over, done and dusted. And it will be Pocock who will line up on the front row of the grid in pole position here tonight. So a great effort from him out there on track.
Yeah, no, good start from Scotty. Be happy with that. Bradley and Gowans. We've set quite a few names appearing with, well, it's Scott Pocock that will take out pole position for the first of our two races tonight. David Gallows sitting alongside him for Carlin's Motorsport. He's ahead of Daniel Byrne. He's, well, Daniel has, what, a 17-point lead in the championship. So, you know, job one for David is to stay in front of Daniel. He's done that so far. Dylan DeBono, the first of the Velocity Siblab duo in P4. Doug Gowan's behind in P5. So those boys will be looking to try and fight and get to the front as quick as possible. Greg Bradley with another great qualifying P6. Obviously a big fan of Phillip Island, and behind him Andrew Johnson. So that again you see teammates here apart from Scott, who's put the Red Rocket Racing Machine on pole. The rest is groups of teammates together. Callan Hodgkinson in P8. Sorry, I'm missing the second name.
Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't show up.
And Sam Katakazinos, P9, and Marcus Konitska in P10, rounding out that top 10. It's Mark Cochran and Brad Hudson sharing the sixth row. Peter Zeidler, Matty Gerard, Chris Swadling and Will Ryan. So a bit of a difference between the two Red Rocket machines there. But Chris, you know, he's going to be right in the hunt in that mid-pack there. Will Ryan, Pace Syndicate, Mark Turner and Callum Rosanita next to him. Greg Johnson and Kevin Wakefield. Greg's back a bit further than I expected him tonight, but Kevin, he'd be happy being inside the top 20 once again. Matt Tesuero, Dean Sinkovich, and then we've got, is that Nick Smalenberg that's actually out there, and Tyler Sheep. Hopefully those guys get onto the grid as well. Tyson McAvoy, our race control chief, wanted me to give a big thanks to all of the other boys in the race control team there. He loves you all, especially you, Thomas Friedman. He's loving your work, and yeah, wanted me to give you guys a big thanks for all your help this season.
Yeah, he had a bit of a spiel to us pre-race, didn't he? Of how kind of happy, or not happy, but how I'm trying to think what the right word is for this, but.
Everyone stepped up.
Yeah, everyone stepped up, and he's proud of the effort that they've been putting in, but also the fact of he's very, very, just proud of their efforts and happy with them at the moment. So,
well, they haven't let each other down. That's the big thing, is they haven't let each other down. People put their hand up, and you know, he said Thomas has been awesome. And, you know, just the whole team, you know, we love your work. And, of course, you know, without a great race control, we can't do this. All right, buddy, here come the lights. We are ready to go with round 8 here at Phillip Island. Oh, was that a little jump there? That was Gallo. Hopefully he got it stopped before, because otherwise he could have an iRacing black flag. And race control has said they won't clear them. It's 4 red machines all battling hard at the front here as we go into T2, the Great Southern Loop. Gowans just sitting behind this pack of red bullets in front of him, keeping an eye on them. Bradley's got away cleanly as well behind him. Johnson, Konitska up a couple. He's the early mover. Callum Hodgkinson and Sam Kanakazinas just dropping one spot there at the start. But the top 10 getting away pretty cleanly there, buddy.
Yeah, I noticed in the background a couple of drivers went off track just a little bit wide out at Southern Loop, including Tyler Sheaf, Dean Sinkovich, and Greg Johnson as well. I think Schmalenberg was also a part of it, as well as Swadling. But It's been a great start here from Pocock with Gallo in behind him. They're just kind of settling in now, Cowie, I think, for the next 20 minutes just to get a feel for themselves. Of course, reverse top 10 in this race. Catakazinos has now jumped up Hodgkinson in the background to get into P2 of the Proams, but they are still battling it out in the background as well. They've got Johnston ahead of him, who's P1 for the Pro-Ams. But currently, as it stands, it's 7 pros in a row. Then there's another 5 Pro-Ams in behind, and then we get to P1 in the amateurs in Mark Cochran and P13 on the road. He's been super consistent this season, Cowie. Last week, he went 3 for 3 in around about P11 to P13 in each race. So he was able to stay up there, but commentator's curse has happened, and there's been contact, and he has had an incident. Oh, and there's Dean Singovich, who's just collided with him. Oh, it's Greg Johnson, sorry. That was Greg Johnson.
I don't think Greg had anything he could do there. Locked up the car, trying to stop and avoid it. And as I've said before, sometimes you've got a 50-50 call or a quick decision. Let's have a like.
Oh, he went it out. Oh, that line, he went it out a little bit wide. That then caught him out. The car was looking good at that stage. But then there's Greg's contact with him. We'll bring up Greg's point of view as well so we can see what's happened with him. This could be a very early safety car. Red energy entry from Greg Johnson. So he's coming around the corner. You can see this. Oh, he lost it too. So maybe a bit of dirt on track from qualifying, Cowie. And it's just a bit loose there.
I'm sorry, cold tyres. The boys pushing maybe a little bit too hard. Again, it's one of those things sometimes when you only have to just creep over that line and suddenly they're gone. And that's what happened to them, both of them losing the rear of the car. I haven't heard anything from race control, so far no word of a safety car or anything. Both those guys getting going. But it is Gallo here that has jumped out to a bit of a lead. So something happened to Pocock, because Pocock was in the lead a moment ago.
Yeah, this is how it happened. So they were coming up towards Miller, and Gallo's just gone for it down the inside. Lined it up at Stoner, did well. Pocock gave him heaps of room. DeBono's up there too, and he actually manages to get past him as well, I do believe. Possibly a little bit later in the lap. So he's actually P2 at this stage. Gallo P1 though, as mentioned.
Yeah, Pocock just going maybe a little bit too deep, so a little puff of smoke, locked up a little bit and sent him a little bit deep, and that just meant that his exit speed was, not enough to hold the position. A bit of touch there between DeBono and Pocock. Now that's close racing.
What this is doing though is it is actually helping Gallo in his fight with his own teammate for the championship, Cow, because currently he has 4 positions over his teammate Daniel Byrne. That's good enough for a nice little chunk of points over him to gain here in this first race. So Gallo's had a strong run the last couple of weeks. Did well last time out on track as well, and he's looking to try and just take advantage over these last 2 rounds and really bring that fight to his teammate in the final round next week.
Well, there's been times in previous seasons where, David's been struggling sort of inside that top 10 to really sort of shine. And then, his name will pop up to the top of the time charts, at a track that he loves. And I mean, at the moment, about a second gap over Pocock, and it's just traffic getting involved here as well. So that might make it a bit interesting. No, he's done well to get out of the way there. That was Johnson. Johnson, I should say.
It was Cochran.
Oh, it was Cochran, I apologise. You were right, sorry.
Dean Singovich has been given a drive-through penalty for contact lap 1 at turn 1, so we'll try and get a replay of that happening as well as to why that has occurred.
He's lost control and slid into Cochran.
No, that was Johnson who had the incident, so this is at turn 1. There's Sinker on the outside there. He's gone to make it 3 wide. Oh, and I reckon that's actually made it even worse. I could see a car just getting a little bit unsettled on the inside. That was Schmalenberg, I do believe. So I believe because they've seen Sinker go for the outside line here, yeah, there's been the contact there, and then that's just a bit of a Constantina for Nick, and that's pulled him off track. So that'll be why.
He's turned into him there, trying to hold that line around the outside, and just been a bit tight. A little nice move up the inside there.
That was Catakazinos getting past Cochran. So Cochran's now gone a lap down on the top 8 cars in the field at this stage. So it's really going to be a kind of race to forget at this point in time. This may likely be Cochran's drop round at this point, Cowie.
Oh, he does have a second chance.
He does.
He does have a second chance with race number 2. But yeah, it does hurt when you drop a lot of points in one race. So He's just got to stay out there, maybe hope that your call of 2 safety cars is one each race.
Well, what it will mean is as well, though, it means that now Rossender and Tessiero have now got a better chance of getting into this championship battle, Cowie, because it means that if they can get far enough up the order, as they are just starting to battle here as Tessiero gets past Swadling. So if they can actually get far enough up the order, then they're going to gain a good chunk of points over him, and it's really going to be on here in the final round in a couple of, next week, next Wednesday night.
Also, we've missed a couple of moves at the front of the field because now Daniel Byrne is sitting in P2 in behind his teammate Gallo. So that gap of points you were talking about there that Gallo was happy trying to take out of his teammate, well, Byrne was having none of that, and he was getting right through as quick as he could. So now DeBono P3, Bradley P4, Pocock P5. So did something happen to Pocock?
So he had actually gotten past them, and then there was a little bit of bump drafting happening here with DeBono and Byrne. So then they forced Pocock to have that outside line, and then DeBono just sent it up in there. Oh, a little bit of a slide, though, from Pocock, and that's dropped him a heap of spots.
Yeah, Pocock just went in a tiny little bit too hot and skipped up there, had to get right out of it. And, Byrne and DeBono battling super hard there as it continued on. And I think now DeBono has got past Byrne, so the battle up the front is, oh no! Pam Hudson just locking up, coming down.
That was Ziedler coming down the hill.
Ziedler.
And then Hudson's come round, nowhere to go.
Oh.
Absolutely collected him off the and unfortunately for Ziedler, that could very easily be a penalty for him from race control.
Yeah, well,
it's going to be tough to call on that one, I would say.
The first thing they look at is were you in control of the vehicle, and there's a little puff of smoke or you go flying across the grass, they're likely going to assume, no, you're not in control. So it's generally a red flag when race control looks at it. The Bono here right on the back of Gallo. So what's happened? Oh, sorry, Byrne on the back of the Bono it is too.
It doesn't help that the Bono has that red Velocity livery.
So he's got back past Byrne in that battle, so the battle is going good. And again, Gallo thought he had a gap, but Byrne brought that down, and now these two battling hard again. Is it JP and I on Monday were talking about the the 2-car rule where cars in a pack are actually faster together. As long as they're not fighting each other, like they're not, one gets the run on the other, he goes through, then you sit in behind him, and the next lap it changes around. Is that what these two are doing?
Possibly, but I don't know if Byrne would want to inhibit his teammate, who's up ahead of him too much, by working with DeBono, one of his competitors who is not in the championship battle.
No, but he also doesn't want DeBono hurting him. So it's like, if DeBono gets a run, I'll just let him through and I'll get the run back on him next lap.
And you know what? Byrne is a smart driver. He will know that if DeBono's going to get the run, he's not going to fight him too hard for it at this point in the race. These guys are battling it out for a podium at this moment in time. Tessiero's gone off track in the background. It's out at Miller. This is how it's happened to him. I reckon he's caught this mid-corner and it's just put him into the grass on the inside. No, it's on exit. He's just dragged a little bit too much speed. Or just the slightest touch of the wall.
Yeah, he's done a little bit of damage there, but he might have got away with it enough to not have to pit. We're coming up on halfway through this race. This is round 8 of the Shannon's Formula 3 Pro-Am Series. This is the last series for the F3, the Dallara F3 too, guys, so get used to these liveries. We'll get to see some new exciting ones on the new machines when we swap over to the Super Light.
Oh, we might see some crossover though. I'm sure some teams will just paste their current livery on the new car, but why wouldn't you go for a change when there's a car changeover? Bit of an update. Oh, perfect time just to update your car.
Well, there'd be a few iRacing painters out there that, earn a little bit of coin off doing liveries for all manner of teams that would be certainly appreciating that, Hamish. I know, we get Night Rider designs for ours, so, not to accidentally spruik around sponsors, but, there are guys out there that do quality jobs, professional jobs, And like you can pay for setups, you can pay for liveries too.
Oh, well, just to balance it out, if anyone wants me to make them a livery, I do accept payments.
Aha!
Yeah. Oh, that's
all right.
contact though with Tessiero and Schmalenberg at Miller. So 2 laps in a row. Tessiero has been involved in something at that corner down at turn 4. So they come around Stoner. Schmalenberg looks to line it up. Is he fully committed to this? I don't know. That's a full send. That's a questionable one for sure. Leave it up to race control's hands, but that was a fair send there from Schmalenberg.
Yeah, I don't think that one's going to look too good on his rap sheet at the end of this. Gallo's now got this gap out to 2 seconds, so Bernard de Bono have been fighting hard each other. It's going to be a bit of 2-on-1 here. Oh no.
Well, Bradley's involved at the moment.
I thought it was Gowans there for a moment. It is Bradley sitting in P4 at the moment, but he'd be stoked with his drive at the moment. And Konitska, he's having a great run at the moment. He's up 4 positions from 10th up into P6. So really making the most of being near the pointy end of the race and pushing hard.
Well, the biggest gainer so far in this race is actually young Sheafy. I say young, he's a year older than I am, but Tyler Sheaf, he's up 8 spots in this race, up 2 in class. So he's come from the back of the field and he's just trying to stay consistent here and make up as many spots as he possibly can in this race to get a good run into the 40-minute feature later here tonight. Will Ryan, though, is now into the top 10. And if he can actually hold this car here, he'll start pole position in the next race. That'll give him a great run to hopefully gain some points on the championship leaders coming into the final round to maybe give him a little bit of a shadow of a doubt in that championship battle.
Well, we know that anything can happen on a racetrack, being it real or virtual. So there's always a mathematical chance. Close enough, I suppose. Unlike Max Verstappen F1 last year, where he had it sewn up. You know,
well, it's like coming into the GP this weekend, I'm like, who could win? Oh, it's probably just going to be Verstappen, isn't it? Like, you know, it's a shame that he is that car is so strong. He's a very quick driver, of course, but it's a little bit night and day at this point, isn't it? Of like, well, who's going to do well? It's probably going to be Verstappen without outside interference, though. But I'll have to wait and see.
The unfortunate thing is that, you know, a lot of the development of those cars for this year has been, you know, learning from what Red Bull did last year. Well, Adrian Newey's already, you know, done last year's thing. Yeah. You know, all last year he was thinking about what he's going to do this year. so they're just continually moving the bar forward at the moment, Red Bull. And, you know, when you've got someone like Verstappen who's just able to find that extra 10% out of the car, and I mean, no slouch on Perez, but Verstappen, he just seems to be able to turn it on when he needs it. And, you know, as a poor qualifier myself, that's a highly sort of desirable skill as a motor racer.
Look at this though, Cow. It's just starting to heat up the front here. Bradley's now trying to get onto P2 over Dylan De Bono, but they're going to go 2 wide through turn 1 up into the southern loop. Burns in on this action as well, so a nice little 3-way dance we have here for P2 of this motor race. Gallo is 3.5 seconds up the road from him, so he's just starting to run away with this thing at this point, trying to get himself another win this season. Look at this though, Bradley down the inside at Stoner, but De Bono's going to have the run into Miller at the next corner. Oh, it's a great little battle starting to intensify. Pocock's back in it now. Konitska's there too, as well as Gowans. So all of a sudden, it's looking like a little bit of a little 6-way battle that could start to form here, or even 2 little triple threats happening in the background as well.
Well, this track, you know, it can be hard to pass for some cars, but these guys here, what we're seeing is that you get 2-3 cars together, and that draft behind one car is strong, but get behind 2 cars and it's really strong. So, you know, we're seeing, you know, Bradley in P4 suddenly in P2, having not just passed one of them down the straight, but 2 of them. And we'll see the same here again. Byrne, you know, looking to get that double toe. We'll see the speed differential.
You see, look at them just trying to break the toe. Can't move across the track too much, not too much weaving. Remember, De Bono gets 1 move. He cannot do it more than once. A little bit iffy. We'll see if race control looks at it though. There's a nice little battle on hand between them. On board now with Byrne. He's P4 on the road at the moment, but DeBono's gone wide. He's tried to cut it back in. That puts Bradley up to P2 of this race. DeBono remains on the podium, but Byrne now could have a run into Miller if he can line this up properly.
There's the 2 bites of the cherry, not quite 3 wide, but a nice move. Feint to the outside, go up the inside, but left room by DeBono barely. And they get through that cleanly, but that's some awesome driving from all 3 of these guys.
You see there, DeBono loves a late apex, doesn't he?
Well, I think he's going deep, straightening up the car and then getting straight back on the power again. It's, you know, a little Schumacher-esque, I suppose.
See here, Byrne wants this round the outside. Not quite fast enough, though, up through Lukey Heights. Into MG they come. Oh, but Bradley's gone!
Pushing hard there, and he's just got on the throttle a little bit too much coming out of Lukey Heights and looped it around right in front of the live cameras.
And
is that unfortunate?
Is that championship run over, Cowie, for Bradley? I know we got another race here tonight. He's outside the 10 though. He really needed a good amount of points ahead of those guys, but being 10 spots down from Gallo, 9 spots down from Byrne, that's not what you want to see, but now he puts back up into P10, so could start pole position in the next race. It may not be over just yet, but oh, you hate to see it. That could have been so much worse. It was great wherewithal from both Byrne and DeBono to avoid that incident from happening.
Oh, look, he's just so close to the edge there, pushing so hard. Unfortunately, you know, it's that tiny little mistake, you know, when we're saying that you've gone in a little bit too heavy, you know, sometimes it can be as much as just going in half a metre deeper than you should. And that's all it takes. So, you know, these guys are driving on the limit. They're driving close. They're battling hard. And, you know, when the pressure's on, you've got, you know, 4 or 5 F3s that are hunting you down as a pack. You know, feel like you've got to push a little bit harder, and that's when the mistakes can come out.
We've got Fritzy in the chat saying cook the tyres a bit too much. Yeah, quite possibly. Maybe a little bit overheated, lost a bit of grip, and just couldn't hold on to it. But 2 minutes left in this session now. There should be white flag lap. Where is Gallo? When does he cross the line? He's about to cross it. Is Barney out there?
Well, no, with 2 minutes to go, but it's under, it's a lap, a minute 20.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be 2 laps to go.
And I can see him there. He was out there. He's ready to go for the next lap. You can see him in the background just kind of chilling. But Gowan's now all over the back of Pocock, so he wants to try and put some pressure on him here into the southern loop. Not quite close enough this time by, though, but DeBono and Byrne, these guys are still battling. We've got Kanitska in behind them. He's starting to get in on this action too. So we could be in here for a nice and spicy battle for P2 of this race. And really it's P1 if Gallo makes a mistake. So they're going to have to be nice and careful. Big lunge though from DeBono up the inside at Miller. That's a great little move from him there. He goes P2, Byrne back into P3. Kanitska not quite close enough though to take advantage of the gap that was left open by DeBono when he opened up the door. But this battle is intensifying as we stand, Cowie. And if we're going to have racing like this in 20 minutes, what are we going to have in 40?
Kanitska wisely kept his nose out of that little moment there because it could have got snapped off, but he's got a nice run around the outside here. Close enough to make a move up the nose, touched it in behind. Gallo, he's the one that is loving this battling back here, of course. Yeah, he wouldn't mind seeing his teammate maybe fall back a couple more, but he's not going to say that on the radio. You don't cheer when your teammates have a bad race. But it is that close in the championship between these two guys that, you know, he needs as many points as he can to close that gap.
So it is now white flag lap, ladies and gentlemen. 1 lap to go here at Phillip Island in race number 1. Back on board with Kanitska, who's got the best seat in the house. Front row seat to this nice little top 2 battle. He's in perfect position to take advantage of these guys have it coming together. They come through the southern loop, and there is absolutely no separating them at the moment, Cowie. You could... I can't even think of a good analogy for it. They are just that close on track, battling that hard. You know, it is insane to see. Oh, but DeBono pushing hard. Big slide from him. Great catch. As we come on through
Kanitska there too. He could have gone up the rear end of Byrne in that process, and that would have changed things dramatically. This is the thing, you know, I mean, how does Byrne feel being a sort of the meat in a sandwich here when one little wrong moment, it could cost him, you know, 10 positions or more? So, I mean, Kanitska, he's battling hard behind there. I'm sure
Oh,
this is
Kanitska's
giving
gone!
Oh!
Oh, no, they've come together! Oh my god!
It happened! That is the worst commentator's curse I've ever seen in my life, buddy. And I'm responsible for it. That is horrible. With a massive moment at Lukey Heights. And I'm never going to live that down, buddy. That was huge.
That was massive. David Gallo comes home, cross the line P1, Pocock in P2, the grandpa Doug Gowans onto the podium in P3. Matty Gerard comes home P4. He gains some points over Johnston in the championship. Will Ryan will be licking his lips right now because now he has gained some points over De Bono and Bradley in this championship. It was only Gallo who is contesting with who he did not gain any in. Oh my God, what a moment. What an absolute wild ride that would have been from Kanitska. This was the onboard, so he's come up for the outside line. Just had that have that little adjustment, and it made the run a little bit awkward on the grass, holding the brakes, couldn't really do anything, and it's just an absolute spear move. I mean, what could he do at that point? Like, he had no control over the car. You hate to see it happen, and I'm sure he'll be incredibly apologetic about it.
The ramifications of the championship, though, that's 17 positions. I think Byrne finished in P18 there, so it's even outside the top 10. And I don't think I've ever called something like that and it goes south like that. That's the worst commentator's curse I've ever seen, buddy, and I'm the part of it.
I don't even know if you can call that a curse. Like, that was just... that was an unforeseen moment, realistically. Like, you can't even call it a curse, Cowie. That was unbelievable.
I don't know. It sounded pretty bad. I think when I listen back, that's going to sound pretty bad. Oh, my God. No, I do not have a voodoo doll or anything in the rig here with me. I'm just sitting in my sim rig. There's nothing like that around me at all.
Wow. What a moment. But, ladies and gentlemen, we got a little 5-minute warm-up coming your way. About 4 minutes left in it. We're going to take a moment just to catch our breaths after a wild end to race number 1. We'll be back here for race number 2 very shortly. Enjoy the sights and sounds as Steven Sinkovich goes off track once again. You couldn't keep it on track for a couple of moments, Sinko, but we'll be back very soon, ladies and gentlemen, for race number 2. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got about 1 minute and 30 seconds left of this warm-up session. Had a couple of cars out on track here at the moment. Me and Cowie were just discussing off air whilst we were getting a drink and settling ourselves in on the moment that happened at the end of race number 1 with Marcus Kinnick. Oh, I mean, no words. Absolutely no words for the timing on that one.
Man, I don't think I've ever heard a commentator's curse set up so perfectly as well. So, oh no. Oh, it's so unfortunate. I feel sorry for everyone involved, but
yeah,
it's a big change in the championship. That, basically puts Gallo from 17 behind to more likely about 17 ahead.
No, that's exactly right, mate. And it's going to give Gallo a nice little points boost. Of course, he'll start P10 in the next race. So, there's going to be a lot on offer, but this will be our starting grid for race number 2 here tonight. Is it going to show? It's probably not. I'll have to wait till the end of the warm-up. But, yeah, I mean, just lost for words. Absolutely lost for words. Like, caught completely off guard by it. It's one of those moments in racing, isn't it, Cowie? It's if they're able to make a highlight reel of season 1 of 2024 across all the SRW seasons, like that's one that I think is definitely going to have to be in there. I think we're going to have to send that one in for iRacing Moments of the Week. Maybe we'll try and clip it and send it in. Because that was absolutely extraordinary. Extraordinary.
Oh, I know they talk about perfect timing or, imperfect timing. Yeah, that's what that was. I don't think I ever could have got that right and would never even want to try and go near that again.
No, that's right, mate. But this is our starting grid for race number 2, ladies and gentlemen. They will line up how they finished, but it is a reverse top 10 for how they finished in race 1. So it'll be Callan Hodgkinson starting out of pole position for CXR, ahead of Andrew Johnston out of P2 for Andreg Racing. Dylan DeBono and Greg Bradley will line up in behind in P3 and P4. We saw DeBono was involved in that incident on the final lap. The bonus is he'll start from the second row of the grid for race number 2. Sam Catagazinos will start at a P5 ahead of Will Ryan in P6, with Matty Gerard and Dougie Gowans lining up in behind them on the 4th row of the grid. It'll then be Scott Pocock and David Gallo in behind, making up the top 10. We then have Chris Swadling, Kevin Wakefield in behind them as we scroll down our order here. Tyler Sheaf, P13, Roslander out of P14. Steven Sinkovich makes up the top 15. Then Tessiero, Nick Schmalenberg. That's what happened with Daniel Byrne and Marcus Knitska. They dropped down the order massively. Daniel Byrne having to start outside the top 10, but we did see what he could do last week when he kind of just picked his way through the field and did exactly what he needed to get back up in the order. They got Hudson at a P19, separating them with Knitska making up the top 20, and then it'll be Ziedler, Sinkovich, Johnston, and Cochran in behind them, with Mark Turner making up the rest of the grid. So, going to be a big race here tonight, Cowie. Everything is on the line in terms of the championship. Who's going to get the jump, do you reckon, in this one and possibly have a little bit of a breakout moment? Is it time for Bradley to take a win, or possibly even Ryan to get up there too and just bring the battle to the big boys come the end of this season?
Well, I think I've said my bit about the championship tonight, and I probably should be banned from ever talking about the championship again.
No, you're helping us bring some spice to the championship, Cowie. That's what it is.
I'm still gobsmacked.
You are the seasoning master to the steak that we have on offer here tonight. Like you are. You brought the salt, the pepper, and the garlic powder. Like you just season it up nice
you
and
don't
perfect.
realise. I'm going to be salt and peppered because the guys aren't going to. They're going to make sure this lives on for a while.
Yeah, but that's just what happens. You got to roll with it, mate. You got to roll with it.
No, it's happened. You can't take it back.
That's it.
Once you put your foot in it, it doesn't matter how deep you keep pushing, does it?
I'm not willing to comment on that one. But
look, these things happen. Obviously, it's just a moment in a motor race, and we on the sidelines, you can maybe have a bit of a giggle and a laugh. I mean, of course, probably both of those parties aren't very happy about what happened. It's made it things hard for Daniel now, and I'm sure Knitska's gutted that he was a part of that. The last thing that anyone wants to do is get involved in a championship battle in that sort of fashion. So just a mistake. These things happen. Hodgkinson, we'll look at Callum. He is another one of those guys, a lot like Delaney and a lot of the fishy guys, they're very good at positioning themselves in a spot to take advantage of reverse top 10s as we get going, buddy.
So it is green flag racing for race number 2 here tonight. There was a stall car on the grid. It was Matthew Gerard, who I think's actually caught out Chris Swadling in the background as well. We'll get replays happening of that one in just a few moments' time, but they come through turn number 1 for the first time here in race number 2. It was a great start from Johnston and from Bradley. They now sit in the top 2. Oh, but that's a big slide from Ryan! And he's running out massively wide into the sandpit at Southern Loop.
Hodgkinson got wheel spin off the line there as well, buddy. That's what hurt him out.
So all of a sudden, the Andreg teammates are now alongside each other, and Johnson's in a perfect position to try and help his teammate. Now, I can see them kind of slowing up. Have we had a call for a safety car, possibly, Cowie?
Oh, tell you who benefited from that big at the moment. Daniel Byrne up 9 spots. Kanitska up 10. So they're still together on the track. So we'll see if the trust is still there between the two of them. But the car's going slow, so I think there has been a call for safety car.
Yeah.
It's out. Yep.
I reckon
I'm sure
it has.
We'll find it coming out of pit lane now. Yep, it's up. Full course yellow. Well, 1 safety car so far. Wow, look at the start. Yeah, so Callan getting a bit of wheel spin off the line here. That slowed him down. Don't know if it called any calls.
And that was the moment in the background with Pocock.
Right.
We could see it just in behind as well. So there's Pocock just there. I don't know if he was I don't believe he was the one that actually stalled it. I believe it's the car ahead of him. Which I think is Matty Gerard. It is. So you can see there just a massive pile up. Very lucky not to catch too many other drivers out of the field. There were, I think, only 2 more drivers caught out. But that was big damage on that car. Obviously, Gerard was involved, as well as Tessiero. So all of a sudden, the championship battle for the amateurs opens up a little bit, Cowie. After it opened up for Tessiero in race 1, it's now even tighter.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. Oh, well, we've talked about it that, you know, I mean, championships, sometimes you need a bit of luck. You need things to go your own way. You need to avoid those, the carnage and avoid mistakes yourself. And, you know, even when you get down to only 2 rounds to go, there's still the race that you're in, and there's something that can happen that can spice it up for you. And, you know, it's just part of racing.
Well, what this is now going to do is it's going to give a big benefit to Daniel Byrne, right? He's into the top 10 now, Cowie, as we mentioned, up 9 spots. But now he's going to be right on the back of these guys. He's going to be right on the back of P8 and Kevin Wakefield. And he's just going to, he doesn't have to make up as many positions as what he had to last week when he started from the rear of the grid. So
Kevin Wakefield's the only one separating him and his teammates.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're right back together again. But that last race had to have hurt his championship.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it's basically swapped their positions around a race like that. Because Daniel, I think, had a 16 or 17 point lead over David going into this round. And after that race 1, that, you know, 18 or so 17 positions. So that's about 34 points, I think. If it's the 2-point difference.
Well, leading into this round, with drop rounds involved, there was an 11-point gap between Byrne and Gallo with drop rounds. Now, if this is Byrne's drop round, then obviously the maths kind of changes a little bit. We're not really quite sure where they currently stand. We know they're top 2. Will Ryan's now been taken out of contention. He's back down the back end of the field. He's going to really need another safety car to really get back into this thing. So his run is now almost ruined for the win of the championship. But he's still in it for the top 3, being that Ballack won't be here. Bradley's within this battle now for the top 3 in the championship. At this point in time, Johnson will be taking P3 in the championship. Bradley would be just behind him in the point standings, being that Johnson is currently ahead of him in overall points. But
And
they're not battling for
Pro-Am
pro.
as well, remember?
Yeah.
He's Pro-Am Johnson, so, you know, he's watched a few points go by the wayside last week, but this week, you know, making sure he's at the pointy end when it matters most. Sitting behind the safety car, looks like they're going to do another lap.
Well, interestingly enough, Cowie, his championship rival for the Pro-Ams, Matthew Gerard, was involved in that lap 1 incident off the start line. So now that's really stretching out that points gap you could argue that Johnston, after this race, if they were to finish in a similar manner to how they stand now, he'd be having one hand on that trophy already. And it'd be pretty hard for Matty to come back, being that they are 12 points separated. And actually, if I look at the standings, I'm just looking at them right now, Cowie. Bradley's actually ahead after drop rounds of Johnston. So Bradley, corrected order, is actually P5. So that's one thing I didn't 100% check, which I should have. Is that Bradley is actually ahead.
Pro versus Pro-Am
exactly.
as well. So,
exactly.
I mean, you know, Andrew's been sort of battling in the top 5 of the pros, and he's the leading Pro-Am. So I think he might be seeing a license promotion as far as SRW goes for next season. As it probably should be, the championship winner goes up. And then, if you know, maybe the car at the back drops back down. But they're discussions that I suppose, you know, smarter minds will have, and headaches for race control. Sometimes you don't want to think about those sort of things. But at the moment, Andrew Johnson, well, gets control of this field. It will be lights out, safety car ending this lap. So we'll see if he takes it right to the line and goes straight away. You know, one of the things we talk about is, you know, if you're not sure, then you're better off just making sure you maximise your exit of the final corner.
No, that's right, mate. And, you know, me and Sig have gone into it quite a fair bit on the Supercars broadcast, and I've even mentioned on the IMSA broadcast as well. Maximising exits is one of the most important things when it comes to racing and in sim racing as well. And these car types, you know, the Supercars, the F3s, even in IMSA with the GTPs and GTDs, it is so important to maximise those exits. We've seen the first time it really came up was at Silverstone when you were in a battle and you kind of went for a more shallow line through turn 4 at Silverstone, where the other driver went for the regular line, and he actually had a better run down the straight because he was able to maximise that run and get better traction out of the corner because of it, and a better run from speed through there as well.
That's right. You know, when you go for a move like that, you almost need it to be like a block pass where you get in front and stop the car accelerating past you. But, I mean, the thing is here, the last corner here is a big long straight. So, yeah, if you maximise it, that's one thing. But also, we've seen before, get 2 or 3 cars together behind you and they get a massive tow. Like the car that's 2 or 3 back gets a huge tow. So maybe you want to hold this all the way to the line just to shorten that straight. And it looks like that's exactly what Andrew Johnson is going for.
And I reckon, I would hazard a guess, he's on the blower to Bradley, being like, this is when we're going to go. Let's maximise this run. But they definitely want to be able to, you know, DeBona's going to have to be careful here because he doesn't want to jump too early because he could get caught with a penalty. But Johnson's now gone nice and early. Bradley was caught a little bit in the dark there from him, possibly not quite on the bill of what they would want. But as they come through one here on lap number 4, this is technically our second green lap running in this race here tonight. They look to be a little bit settled now. You can see the wounds on the track, the battle scars in the sandpit, the kind of trenches that have been dug from the wars that have been battled already in this race.
Bono already making a move with a good run there on Bradley, but Bradley holding that inside line, not willing to give it up. Defensive driving there, and I mean, if he can hold up, DeBona,
there's been a contact in the background. Just quickly, Cowie, sorry, Sinkovic has been involved. Sorry to cut you off there, Matt.
That's involved as well there, I think, as well. And I think he's already used a fast repair.
Oh, he would have.
See what's happened here. Oh, he's just gone in way too hot. Way too hot.
He's missed one Sinkovic and he's taken out the other.
The other one. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, what a shame for him.
We're waiting for a redress here, too, by the looks of it. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's pretty... it's going to hurt. Sheepy in the battle there at the moment as well. Where's Sheepy sitting? P19, so he's one of those cars that caught a bell of things that happened on lap 1, down 6 spots at the moment. Matty Gerard in front of him, down 11, so... and I think it was Scott Pocock in front of him, down 7, so... Swadling, Pocock, Gerard, Sheepy all getting caught up in that mess. And Cochrane Tesuero as well, you know, so Cochrane and Tesuero together there. So how does that affect the AMS or Rosanita? He's running P12, so
Well,
he's the
arguably
one getting
he would
some points
be,
on him. Yeah.
he would arguably maybe be leading the championship if he were to possibly get up to where Kevin Wakefield is currently in P1. So if he can maybe, although Hutto's probably going to help out his teammate a little bit. No, Kevin's on his teammate. I do apologise, but I don't know. It's going to be tough. Now Hutto's not going to give this position up and let Ross in the battle for it ahead of him, but you know. Maybe he'll get in on this action. I think the great thing
is we're seeing that, you know, guys are battling here, but, you know, no one's really sort of cutting the nose off anyone. If you get a run there, you know, you get a run, well done. But, you know, the toe and probably the nature of the fact this is a favourite track and a lot of the guys practice it, it's sort of one of those tracks that bridges the gap a bit between the sort of the pros, probably more the pro-ams and the AMs will find themselves a lot closer together on track. But there's also, you know, some of the pro-ams that, you know, can compete at the level, you know, right up there with the pros in pace because they've done so many laps here.
I can just see in the background there, Pete Ziedler had actually gone down the MotoGP pit exit just to let all the drivers pass and knew the traffic was coming. So that was at least a nice move from him just to let them all go, not get in their way too much. Got a nice little battle in the background here with Gerard, Johnston and Pocock involved. See, Jono wants it up the inside here at Gerard's. These guys still battling it out as they come into Siberia.
Gerard just holding that inside line there, so that was enough to hang on to that spot, and Johnson had to yield there.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching us, let us know what you think of the racing here tonight, how we've been going with everything. It's been a great run so far. Drive-through penalty for car 008, lap 4, turn 4. That will be for Pete Ziedler for the massive dive bomb down at Miller. So here's the night will now go from bad to worse. But yeah, let us know, guys, what you think of the broadcast, everything that's been happening here tonight, all the racing, how you're feeling going into the final round. And if you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe as well, and the bell icon so you are notified anytime we go racing across our 6 nights of racing. You do not want to miss any of the action this week and next because it is final 2 rounds to go. But that's massive action with Gallo, championship leader.
And Byrne.
Oh my God, have the teammates that are coming together or what?
I don't know. Gallo's missing a nose there, so that's going to switch things back because he's going to have to pit. Has Byrne managed to avoid major damage? Oh.
So this is what's happened.
What's happening here?
Oh, you can see him. They're 3 wide. And then there's Byrne. Oh my God. Oh, he did a barrel roll. I'm sorry, but that caught me completely off guard. I saw him bouncing. I'm like, wait, is he just barrel rolled it or what? But that was Gallo who had the barrel roll there. So this is on board with him. So you can see him 3 wide. That's Gowans on the inside. And you can see, oh, that was Hodgkinson with the Bono. And what a wild ride for him.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You know, we talk about spicing up the championship and Phillip Island. I thought it might have been one of those sort of rounds. Well, it is, there's been some unbelievable moments already tonight, you know, and we're still only about 10, 15 minutes into race number 2.
And I'll tell you what this does now, Cowie, is, and now means that Byrne is going to gain a heap of points on Gallo if he can keep this clean, because Gallo's coming in now, but he's going to need another pit stop to get home on fuel. So all of a sudden, Gallo is out of proceedings without a safety car coming into play. And Byrne now just has to try and get home. Now, if he gets caught up in something, all of a sudden, it's Andrew Johnston, Greg Bradley, and even Will Ryan is back in the battle now. So it is so tight at the top and so close. And we've had so many off-kilter moments happen already. What is going to happen next, Cowie? Because I was completely taken aback by that happening.
Oh, well, look, it's about 15 laps for the 20-minute race. These cars can hold just under 23 litres. They burn about 1.2 a lap. So, you know, looking at that, they could probably get 17, 18 laps on a tank. Now, has enough time come out of it that Gallo could fix that car, fill it up, and get home? Maybe save to get home. He's going to be racing on his own.
I think the fact that
So
the top few cars are coming in means that he may not actually be as bad. He may not be in such a poor position, but this is why it's safety
that's
car.
The whole field. The whole field coming in, so...
This is why safety car's out on track. So
and everyone's decided to pit, so
except
that
for
changes things
Rossender
again.
and Pocock. Those guys are now stayed out as well as Singovich and Swadling. Byrne has gone off track on the entry into the pit lane. So how has this happened here? I saw it had a little off track. I thought maybe it was just him coming in. Just a regular little moment here. Let me try and find it for us. As to why. So I believe this was how he got caught up in the incident. So he was in the background of it. He was very lucky not to hit anyone. Oh, nearly got taken out by De Bono as well. Very, very lucky. So you'd have to say, if this is going to be Daniel, at this point, this is definitely going to have to be Daniel Byrne's drop round. If he were to finish like this. Oh, and that's why. Wild ride into the pit lane.
I had to spin.
Oh my God.
Some time there as
yeah.
well.
So if this was, if there was ever going to be a drop round for Daniel Byrne, it would have to be this week. And I mean, what a week to have it, I suppose, going into the final round next time out. So it's good that he's getting it out of his system here tonight and not having it next week. But he will not want to have a repeat performance when we go racing next time out.
One thing that tonight it has shuffled the deck in so many ways. These moments, 2 safety cars too, buddy. So it looks like you've got it on the nose again.
But we could have more though, Cowie. We could have more.
Well, here I was thinking we might have got away with 0 tonight. Now, I suppose I didn't have any confidence in the boys, did I?
Well,
or too much?
You talk about card shuffles. I feel like I'm at Crown Casino right now. There's been that much shuffling happening. Like, it is just every card is on the table. Everything that could go wrong for the championship contenders has gone wrong here tonight. What it means now is, as mentioned, Johnson and Bradley, big points gain over those top 2. You know, as mentioned, if this wouldn't be Gallo's drop round since he's had a win. But it could be Byrne's drop round. So that's the kind of question at hand. It's going to be very interesting come next time out for the final round out at Mugello. We know what Mugello can offer as well, Cowie. So that's another thing that you know, is kind of on the cards. Is like, it's a fantastic track, fantastic in these cars, but that's also going to really roll the dice for us on the roulette table, you know, or on the craps table, I should say. Like, it is. It is unbelievable how much a championship can change after 7 rounds in a championship. You think you've got some sort of idea of how it's going to run, and then all of a sudden one race changes the culture. Like, it completely...
What's happened is you played 6 hands in a row at the blackjack table, and every time you 2 cards have added up to 12 or 13, and you keep drawing a bloody, you know, a 10. So,
yeah.
you know, just, you know, you've got good odds there of not busted. No, there it is. It's a 10. I busted again. You know, and, you know, you can't sit on 12 or 13 unless the dealer's got 3 or something.
No,
So,
my mindset is if you're on 15 or above, you never hit. Anything below that, you're willing to roll the dice, because you could always just get an ace and it's just worth 1. But, yeah, it's tough. And it's tough for these drivers out there tonight. Rossender, Pocock, Singovich, those guys need a pit stop, so they are out of sync at the moment. It is Andrew Johnston who is provisional P1 at the moment.
I don't know if they can take enough laps out of this race to be able to one-stop this. I mean, it could be an absolute amazing setup. So how deep are we into the race now? We're coming up on halfway.
Just about 20 minutes, so yeah, we're about halfway into the race.
Right,
and we're around about lap 10, so...
Right, so we've had, what, maybe 6 laps of hard running?
Yeah.
Right. These guys could probably get 17, 18 out of a tank, so that leaves you 12.
Actually, no,
Say
I apologise.
You used another lap.
Yeah.
You used another lap up, you know, in the 3 laps behind the safety car. So maybe they've still got 11 laps left in them. I mean, another safety car maybe brings that window fully in. I
Quite
think
possibly.
it might be a little ambitious, but sometimes, when you see the entire field go in, if you're sitting down the back, well, why not roll the dice and see if it
that's right.
throws up an unexpected result.
Exactly right. And what Rossenden will be thinking about right now is that AM championship, right? Sinkovic is not really in contention for that. He's just rolling the dice to get a good finish. But Rossender's thinking about what he can gain over Cochrane now. What he can gain over Tessiera after their poor run so far in this race. And he's willing to roll the dice to try and see what he can get out of this. Johnston, he's in a very good position compared to his championship rival, Gerard. He's out of the race. So this will be a Gerard drop round. If he hasn't missed a round so far, if he has missed a round, then unfortunately this could be championship over for him compared to Johnston. So it's going to be hard, and it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen here, though, in the final parts of this race, and even in the final dying embers of the championship as well, Cowie.
Looks like Swadling rolled the dice as well, pitting on lap 1, so getting caught up that incident. So he's currently P5, so he's rolling the dice as well. Is it Cochrane up 10? I didn't see where he is.
So Johnston's up 10 at the moment. Hudson's up 10. He's in P9. Cochrane's up 10 as well, yes. So
Hudson, did he come in with that gaggle of cars?
He did
or
indeed.
Is he stuck out? Yeah.
So
okay,
currently the only
pretty
cars to have not pit at all is Rossender and Dean Sinkovic, but Swadling and Pocock came in on lap 1 after that initial incident. So that's why they're out of sync as well. But it should be one more lap under safety car, I'd say.
Hudson and Konitska, they're up 10 and 9 at the moment, sitting in P9 and 11 respectively. So Konitska, I think, right at the back of the field after the incident in race number 1, but having a good race so far this time. So that is a good result for Brad Hudson. If he's already pitted, because that's getting him well inside the top 10, with, the top 3, 4 of the top 10 cars, 4 of the top 5 cars, questionable on fuel.
Well, we're at 22 minutes, Cowie. We'll be around about 24 minutes or so when the safety car comes in. I'd say it's going to come in this lap. 15 minutes to go. They're on around about lap 11 or 12 at this stage. I don't know if there's going to be enough for them to get home from this point. If there's another safety car, it's definitely on the cards for them, for sure. But knowing that Johnston and Bradley are on, have enough fuel to get home, they can push. These front guys cannot push. They cannot afford to push. They must conserve that fuel. Safety car pulls away. So it's going to be up to Rossender to control the field for the first time this season. New colours on the car coming out a couple of weeks ago after some unfortunate confusion between him and Cochrane when I was calling the action at Bathurst. So who knows, Cowie? Maybe you'll have DeBono or Byrne or Gallo coming at you for confusing their little red rockets out on track for Carlins and Velocity, respectively.
Surprise me. Yeah, not the first time I make those mistakes. We did try to get it right, but there was 4 red cars all racing together there at that start of race number 2, so it's easy to confuse them. So Rosanita with his camo paint out front, he's trying to blend in with the grass around, but that camo paint sticks out when you've got red cars all around you.
I reckon, and obviously I don't want this to happen, but can you imagine if we have another incident at Lukey Heights and Rossender's involved and drivers come around MG and it's like, what did I hit? There was just an invisible wall that came up because it's just a camouflage car that's crossed the track.
I've gone there tonight. I don't think I should go there again in the same night. And again, Rosanita with the strategy of holding him pretty much aligned, though, I think. No, he hasn't gone yet. He's holding him right to the line.
Yep, he is waiting until the very end to get going here. Lap 11, they'll start lap 12 when they cross the line. 24 minutes. Oh, my God. He's held them way too long. Pocock's been caught out by it. Had a bit of contact as well.
Wait a minute, at the rear there. Is that Konitska that got caught up in that?
That was Konitska. And Daniel Byrne is dropping spots too already. So for some reason, he's also dropped some spots. But yes, it was Konitska who was involved.
Well, remember, Byrne and Konitska were pretty close together on track, so maybe having to avoid an incident there. Wadling winning fast here in the battle there with Johnson. Tinkovich. Oh, big deep dive there. Is that Johnson?
Yeah, that was. Bradley's got it up the inside of his teammate, though.
It was Bradley, the big deep dive there. And, you know, he avoided rule number 1, which is don't hit your teammate.
Well, that's it. We can see, though, Johnson's got DeBono all over the back of him now as they come up towards Lukey Heights. So it's a great little battle on hand. DeBono up the inside of Johnston. He does well. He is now provisional P2 on the road. Swadling's in there too.
Try to go the way out the outside there, but that's pretty hard to get that done there coming down out of Lukey. But he's going to have a good run here, and again we're going to see how strong is the tow with multiple cars all benefiting from, you know, the brick in front of them that's punching that hole in the air.
You can see you're on board now with Swadling. He's got the inside run on Johnston. Will he let him have it into 1? You can see Gowans is involved too. Gowans and Johnston, they're actually for position. Those guys are not out of sync. This is what happened off the restart with Byrne and Konitska. So you can see them coming down here for the restart. Massive checkups for the majority of the field. And that was the incident there with Konitska, and that was why Byrne dropped some spots.
Yeah.
So you can see here, this was the start. He had Hodgkinson ahead of him. Massive checkups up ahead. He had Ryan go around him. Oh, was that maybe some net code that kind of unsettled the car?
Oh, his teammate was awful close to him there too, so I certainly hope it wasn't one of those moments where teammates hit each other. We talked about that, you know, being rule number 1. Well, it definitely is. You know, you don't want to hit your teammates. I know I've given Tyson a heart attack at times when we were 3 wide going through a corner, and he wasn't very happy about that. Jumped in and told him so. It can be scary for team owners sometimes when you see your drivers battling hard. Of course, that's what we expected tonight, a big battle between Byrne and Gallo on track. Well, it's been anything but their decision tonight, with multiple incidences throwing a massive Rubik's Cube on the championship.
Mate, it is a proper spanner in the works type of night, isn't it? Like, it is absolutely insane. Oh, Gowans has gone off at turn 1. Lucky, though, not to collect the wall.
Cost him 3 or 4 spots, but he'd be happy with that. He's still alive and he can keep going. He can push again, get back in the fight.
See there, Bradley up the inside of Rossender. Post-race penalty for car number 169. Contact on lap 7. That will be for, if I can find who it is, that'll be Matt Gerard. So that'll be for his, possibly, I think that'll be for the start, for the, oh no, contact on lap 7.
Yeah,
that was contact on lap 7, so.
Well, he's still in the pits at the moment, so definitely no fast repair to get back out there again and join the action. So that's why it's become a post-race penalty. At the moment, Pocock, he's jumped out to a 1.4 second lead here. Bradley staying with him at the moment. Rossinides dropped back a couple. DeBono now getting ahead of him. Tinkovich back in P5. So the two guys, the two AMs that haven't pitted yet, near the pointy end, well, they're still holding their own. The quick guys have got past them, but so far so good. They haven't thrown it away. Track position is king.
That's right, mate, but Chris Swadling has had an incident in the background. In fact, I believe he may have actually found the door to the Shadow Realm, quite possibly.
Oh, no.
Because he's not on my screen at this stage, but this is what's happened. So he's had a bit of a moment down here at Stoner. This must have been the last lap. So is he possibly had some more incidents here?
Oh, and he's parked it.
Oh, that's not what you want to particularly see.
So what's happened here is he killed it?
He drove it into the wall. So he's come round. He'd already dropped down position, so I believe maybe he was involved in the moment with Dougie Gowans earlier in the lap.
Oh, he has lost the server now, so he's not disappearing.
Oh, that'll be why. That was almost an identical incident with De Bono, and I think it was actually possibly, I think it might have been Gerard as well earlier in the proceedings with the barrel roll from Gallo, but it was lucky no one else was caught out. This was Johnson coming into Miller as well. You see there, up the inside went Tesuero. Oh, he may be getting the book thrown at him for that one, Cowie.
I don't know. It's really close, that one, so that's one I'd like to leave to race control. I won't make comment on that. But at the moment, Pocock extending his lead. He's now 1.5 over Bradley, who's doing a pretty good job of holding up Dylan De Bono. The De Bono with a big run coming out of the Great Southern Loop. And look, he's trying to get up along inside. That's tight running. Bradley trying to hold him to the outside. Can he do the over-under, De Bono?
You see it just quickly as well. Look who's back in the 10. It's David Gallo. And just outside is Daniel Burns. So they are starting to make their way back up through the field, Cowie. So it may not be over until the fat lady sings, or possibly until you sing for us, Cowie, here tonight. But Bradley at the moment holding his own against De Bono, as mentioned. 10 minutes to go on this motor race. When will Pocock have to pit? If he does have to pit, you'd argue it'd have to be pretty soon.
See, the problem you've got, buddy, is that I sing the opening song of my duo and Dave sings the closing one.
Ah, got ya.
All right, so Bradley, he's doing a good job holding up to Bono at the moment. Before he was buying a little bit of a buffer back to his teammate, but at the moment it's only one blue car up the front and a big run from De Bono here. The key is to try and stay on the inside. You want to stay tight. But again, you know, taking that treat, it's one of those corners that you want to stay tight so the car can't get up the inside of you, but if you treat it like a double apex, that's where you get the big slingshot like De Bono's just got and able to get past coming out of you know, the loop.
Yeah, that's right. Just confirming as well, Will Ryan has been given a drive-through penalty for the safety car restart procedure where he had the contact with his teammate Marcus Konitska, so Ryan will have to be travelling through the lane. You'd have to argue that is championship done and dusted for him, possibly contesting for that top position.
Yeah, teammates, that hurts. You never want to hear that, but unfortunately, you know, you can't take it back when you make a mistake. You know, you've just got to accept the rap and apologise for your moment, but it might make you know, the conversation a little frosty in the team room after the race.
That's sure there'll be maybe some harsh words or even some apologies coming off the back of that one as well. There will be 7 minutes to go, or 7.25 minutes to go when they cross the line here in this race. You'd argue maybe 3 or so laps left to go in this race here tonight. Bradley at the moment P3 on the back of De Bono. Gallo has now gotten past Dean Singovich. He's now back up into P7. He's up 3 spots in this race.
I wonder if Sink is on full fuel save mode here because he's tumbling back a little bit. You know, is he trying to get this home? As you said, only about 7 minutes to go. He hasn't pitted. Possibly a possibility. It'd be pretty tough to save enough to get around, so we'll have to see how he goes. But at the moment, you know, it's a big train of cars, and knowing Dean, he'd be enjoying the battle, more worried about where he's actually going to finish.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like any fuel saving is occurring at the moment. But what could be happening is the fact that he's in the traffic and maybe he was able to save during the safety car periods here tonight. We are only 1 minute and 10 seconds away, Cowie, from my predictions being right 2 weeks in a row. I don't know where I've gotten this absolute luck from.
Whoa.
Maybe I need to get some lotto numbers happening.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Make sure you put in the lotto for this Saturday.
Yep.
Powerball, though Powerball was tonight, wasn't it?
Maybe I need to get a cheeky multi going for the Grand Prix this weekend for Verstappen to not win. Who knows? Will Ryan has now come in to commit to his drive-through penalty. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Bradley has now also gotten past De Bono here for P2 of this motor race, so the fight is not over yet. They are starting to catch Pocock.
Yeah, he's been holding De Bono up for laps now, but Pocock, was he made a little mistake because that gap is now, it was out at about 2 seconds, it's now down to only half a second. DeBono with a big bold move gets it done, and you know he would have seen that Pocock is struggling up ahead of him and he had to get that move done. Decisive, that's how you do it.
So it is going to be 5 minutes left in the motor race. It's DeBono in P2. Does Pocock need to come in for fuel? I reckon he's on full fuel-saving mode at the moment, Cowie, because he's lost that lead that he had built over both of these boys previously, and all of a sudden, could the dice start to roll the way of Bradley and DeBono here in this one here tonight? Are the cards coming tumbling down for Pocock here in terms of strategy? The gap is absolutely minuscule now. It's underneath half a second. So I'd say that Pocock is full fuel save. And I reckon he may need a pit stop in the end because I don't think he's going to be able to maintain this pace and this amount of fuel saving for the next 5 minutes of running.
Yeah, well, he is him and Rosanita and Sinkovic, the three drivers that, you know, didn't pit. Pocock pitting on lap 1 because he got caught up in that incident. So maybe he's got an extra lap advantage over Rosanita and Sinkovic, and maybe that's enough, but at the moment really struggling hard here to hold his position and maybe save a little bit each lap.
Well, look at this, though. Bradley was thinking about making it 3 wide. Wasn't quite close enough, but he is going to try and pip Scott Pocock through Miller. It was a great little move from him there. And now DeBono is P1 to Bradley P2 to Pocock P3. Rossender and Gallo make up the top 5 at this stage. So Gallo, realistically, is actually not having a bad run here tonight now, even after the incident and the absolute spectacular barrel roll from him during proceedings. You know, he's still probably actually going to be leading the championship after this race.
Well, at the moment, massive difference of points between Gallo and Byrne in race number 1 with that massive moment. And then now he's got, 4 positions? He's in P5 and Byrne is in P10. So there's 5 positions there, so there's a bunch more points. So as you said, you know, Byrne's got a drop round available to him. It very well could be tonight because things certainly haven't gone his way. And that is Rosanita's made a mistake.
He's done exactly what Byrne did.
Yeah.
Exactly what Byrne did. So unfortunately for Rossender, his night going from poor to worse. This now puts Dean Sinkovic P1 in the amateurs, but can he survive for long enough here under the fuel to get home in P1 and get his first win in a feature race this season for the amateurs?
Look at that battle up ahead too. You've got the Pro-Am battle for P1 between Hodgkinson and Johnson as well, and this is on for all money. Hodgkinson defending inside. Johnson was having a little bit of look. He had a good run there, but I think this is where you'll see Callan. He is a true racer. He races just about everything on the server. Pretty much, I think he's dipped his hat into every one of the SRW nights we've had and loves racing in multiples. So, you know, there's crafty drivers out there that know how to make an F3 about as wide as a double-decker bus. Well, Callum's definitely one of them.
So this little battle is just starting to form up. David Gallo is now P4 on the road after Rossender has come in. And if Pocock needs to come in, well, Gallo's going to be back on the podium and he'll be the round winner here tonight. So he's had a great run so far. Where did do we remember where DeBono finished in race 1?
We can look at that. Dylan was, he's up 2 from his starting position, so I think it's about P6, I think, P6 or 7.
Yeah, and this is Greg Johnson. He had a bit of a moment into Siberia, it seems. Possibly just a bit of a rotation. Yeah, caught some sand, and that's never going to end well for Mr.
Unfortunately,
Johnson.
a few seconds up the back of the pack there, and then you make a little mistake like that, and it just adds another 2 to it. It can. It's sort of the trap, you know, when you fall back, you want to push hard so you can catch back up on the back, but then you can be that much closer to making another mistake. And unfortunately, you know, good laps earn you tenths, bad laps cost you seconds.
So we're going to have one more lap to go when they cross the line, ladies and gentlemen. Is Scott Pocock going to be able to make it home on the current fuel load in that car? Oh, you can hear it. It's full fuel save at the moment. Lift completely and then full clutch into MG. So he's just trying to get home at this stage. I'd love to know what the fuel numbers are in that car. That's one thing SDK need to be able to give us is fuel
he's
numbers.
going for it.
He's going for it. So possibly risking getting a rear of grid for the final round. But it's white flag lap now. Dylan DeBono leads to Greg Bradley, to Scott Pocock, to David Gallo, to Callan Hodgkinson. That's the top 5. Then Andrew Johnston, Doug Gowans, Daniel Byrne, Dean Sinkovich, and Sam Katakazinos make up the 10. Cochrane, Hudson, Schmalenberg, Wakefield, Tesuero make up the 15. Johnson and Hodgson, they're still swapping and changing positions, but this is the battle that's on hand for the lead of this race and for any amount of points that Bradley can try and gain on Gallo. He'll be hoping to try and get past DeBono here in the final lap just to really maximize that championship run into the final round next time out at Mugello.
The gap between Pocock and Gallo is still sitting at about 2 seconds. So he's doing enough at the moment. Scott Pocock, can he hold on to this? That will be close. The battle here for P1, P2. Bradley is not giving this up. That's a W that is dangling like a really juicy carrot right in front of him. And with only a few turns left, he's running out of opportunities to get this done.
Or tries to go for the massive lunge into MG. Not quite close enough to pull it off, though. 2 corners to go. That could be all done and dusted now for Greg Bradley trying to get victory here tonight. Dylan DeBono will lead him round the final corner for the final time out at Phillip Island. And for the final time that they could drop a race, it's going to be Dylan DeBono in round number 8 to Greg Bradley by absolutely nothing out of P2. Scott Pocock, somehow the magic man makes it work. Comes home in P3 ahead of David Gallo in P4. Callan Hodgkinson is only just going to Pip Johnston for P1 in the Pro-Ams. Absolutely ludicrous scenes. Dean Sinkovich takes out his first class win in a feature race for season 1 of 2024. So a great run there from Sinker in his return season to the F3s. Cochrane in P2. Well, that is still a good run from him. He will continue to lead the championship, quite possibly leading into the final round next week. It was the final opportunity for drivers to drop a round. I don't know if this was bad enough for Daniel Byrne to drop it, being he finished in P8 here in this race. We'll have to wait and see what the points look like. But that's Pocock. Was that Pocock pulled up there? No, it's DeBono doing a burnout. I was about to say, is he out of fuel? But no, it's just DeBono doing a burnout. But there is our race winner.
Apologies, Matty. We see a message there, buddy. It was getting pretty hectic near the end of the race there to bring you in. I mean, the way things are going for me, buddy, you know, I don't want to talk about anyone's championship at the moment after that massive moment in race number 1. But here is the results of our feature race here tonight at Phillip Island, and it is Dylan DeBono for Velocity Sim Labs that takes out the win. Greg Bradley, what's that, 5/100ths of a second. You know, if he had another maybe 100 meters, that could have been nose to nose going over the line, but a great drive from Greg and held it together. Dylan just getting in there with a couple laps to go. Scott Pocock, well, the master strategy came in to repair damage on lap 1 and that early safety car, and he's managed to get it home in P3 and hang off a fast challenging David Gallo. Well, that is the talk of the night. David Gallo P4 with his teammate Daniel Byrne in P8, but with the massive ramifications of the incident last lap, race number 1, Daniel Byrne has given up a big chunk of points, and I believe we'll find that the situation has been reversed with those 2 drivers with 1 round to go. Callan Hodgkinson hanging on for the Pro-Am victory just ahead of Andrew Johnson. Again, those boys only separated by 1/10 of a second, or 800ths, I should say. So, very 800ths, I should say. Very close between the 2 of them. And again, a great battle where Callan had to put his doors out and make that car as wide as possible. Doug Gowans, P7 for Velocity Sim Labs. Another good drive. I think he had a moment in one of the earlier races, but a good recovery there and right in the mix. Daniel Byrne, well, that is the talk of the town. P8 tonight, P18 in race number 1. Well, things have changed in the Carlin's Motorsports garage as far as the hunt for the championship. Reversal of roles. Sam Katakazinas, he'd be pretty happy with a top 10 ninth finish here for Sam, right in the hunt. And Dean Sinkovich, our leading AM driver for the night for P10. Well, that's the top 10 there, Hamish. wow, not what we expected, and
Definitely not.
some craziness out there tonight.
No, that's exactly right, mate. So we're going to have 5 interviews coming your way, ladies and gentlemen. We have actually got Sinker he's in the lounge. Do we just drag him in? Do you reckon? Like, do we just sneak him in and force him in to have a chat to us at this point?
Well, he is supposed to be hunting down in the green room because he is the
We'll bring
victor
him
in the
in.
feature race tonight.
We'll bring him in.
Maybe
Low
drag him down to the
cones.
green. Got him out.
Oh, yeah,
I was
we
going to
have.
say, bring him into the green room first and give him a moment to work out where he was.
No,
But
hang on.
Hamish has just dragged you
You know what
straight
I'm
to the
doing?
deep end, buddy.
What are you doing?
I'm just rolling into pit lane without fuel.
Oh, really?
I've
Well
just made it
then.
into pit lane.
Aren't you supposed to be lining up on the start-finish line?
Mate, I can't get there.
And so the pit lane's shorter, and technically you've
Correct.
You've
I've
done
made
the
it back.
rules. How was it out there, buddy? Because there was a fair bit going on. You
Oh,
tried
mate.
to pull off that zero stopper.
Yep.
What was it? Just one lap short, was it?
Listen, the extra lap on the safety car was what helped me. Otherwise, I would have been stuffed here. So, like I said, I've rolled back to my pit lane right now, and I've made it in there finally. So, which is good. But yeah, no, unless it was tough. These guys are fast, and as you can see, I was sitting somewhere in third, and I dropped quickly back because the fast guys are absolutely guns. And yeah, it's I love this track, and unfortunately, I'm not as good as all these blokes, but I made it there, and I think I pipped. Was it Mark Cochran on the?
Yeah,
on the line?
it was
pretty
Mark
close.
Cochran.
Yeah.
So
I just started. My actual motor just spluttered right across the line, sort of there. So
Well, I was
I
gonna
was
say to
losing
you,
pace. Yeah.
You know, I was going to say, I mean, being a track that, you've most likely done a few laps. I think every F3 driver's done a few laps a year. Was it good to be at a track that you know well and you know where you could push yourself?
Oh, 100%, but still hard on in this car. It was sliding a lot, and it's how you control that slide. And obviously the fast guys, I was watching in front of me, and on that first corner, what's the first corner called?
The Southern Loop, the big one.
Southern Loop, yeah, sorry, the big one, yeah, Southern Loop. The guys are going sideways, and they were still controlling it. It was like, how do you do that? I couldn't do that, so I'd lose it. But yeah, I think if you can control the slicks and manage them, and yeah, you'll go further and faster. I think so. But yeah, good luck to them all, and it was I guess the lucky strategy helped me. Extra run around with the race car one more lap. I think they did one more lap, which was good for me. And yeah, I think P1 for that.
I think you can thank Steve for that because he needed a wave around,
Yeah.
so that gave you the
Yeah, he
extra
did.
lap.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, exactly.
The
That's what I did.
ultimate strats from Team SRW, apparently.
Yeah. So I gave him a good thanks for that. Like, if it wasn't for that, I would have had to pit. So
Now, mate,
But,
is this your first win in any essence, or have you taken a win in F3s before?
No. I've won something else. I won last season, pretty sure. But I think F3 was. I think it's my first one.
Oh, mate,
So,
it's good that you're able to get that off the bat. I believe this is your first win. This is the first time we've actually had a Sinkovic on the top step for F3s in any class. So unfortunately, you've got one over Steve now.
I've got many over Steve, mate. So don't worry about that.
Oh, apparently you actually won at Magny-Cours as well.
Yeah. Did I? Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Apparently, but
they go too quick.
They do.
They
Mate,
go too quick.
let us know who's giving you and Team SRW Motorsport the support out there, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Yeah, listen again. Thanks to you boys in the booth there for broadcasts. You always do a fantastic job. So thank you for your support with SRW. Obviously, yeah, take a bow. Take a bow.
No, finish.
The race stewards, obviously, they do it hard every week in and out. So good on them. And then they need a pat in the back more than anything because they cop it hard. And, referees always cop abuse. So ease up on them. They do it tough. No one wants to sit in their chair, but they do a great job. Sponsor-wise, I want to obviously thank Shannon's, Rare Spares, Grim Industries. There's some news to happen that'll be coming shortly with Grim and SRW, which is good. Motor Neuron, Also, I'm missing a few others. I can't remember them. I have got the sheet because I'm still in VR. But yeah, thanks again, guys, and great to win.
Well, mate, massive
Now-
congratulations. Cowie, what were you going to
mate.
pull
I
out
was
on him
going to say,
before?
well, no, I was just to say before he gives me too much of a rap, just have a listen to the end of race number 1. The level of commentators curse that just occurred,
Yeah,
right?
no,
So
that was a nightmare. Race 1. So yeah,
Well,
I still don't know if I was hard done on that, but anyway, I had to do a drive-through.
well,
It is what it is.
I'm worried if I've got a job next week because if there's ever a perfect case of commentators curse, that was
Yeah,
it. So
that was it.
I'm gonna
I'll have to
listen.
watch it back, mate.
We've had a comment from Shibby as well asking the question, Dean won something? So maybe some comments have to happen with Shibby as well. But congratulations
Who's
once
Shibby?
again.
Who's Shibby, mate?
Yeah, I know. Where's he been? Where's he been in
Who's Shibby? Who is he?
2024?
He's missing in action. Good on him. Thanks.
Oh, mate, congratulations once again. Best
Cheers,
of luck
boys.
next week for the final round out at Mugello. And if we
worries.
don't speak to you, best of luck for season 2.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, boys. Thanks again.
Thanks, mate. Okay, we will drag in our Pro-Am winner in Callan Hodgkinson. Mr. Hodgkinson, you were in an intense battle there with championship leader Andrew Johnston for the majority of the final part of that race. How does it feel, mate, though, to finally get across the line, get home in P1 after bogging the start off pole position? You at least get something out of it and get the win for the Pro-Ams.
Yeah, it was a good win. I bogged the start down, and then the safety car sort of saved me. I was sort of a couple wide at Southern Loop, so I was able to tuck in and get to see the safety car out. And then, Phillip Island always brings really good racing, and had a great race with Andrew, and had a couple of good battles with a couple other boys. So, it was full on that last lap there. I thought he was going to get me there coming onto the straight, but I just held it off. So, I'll take that. I've had a bit of bad luck lately, so I'll definitely take that one.
So, Callan, I did sort of say that, when you had that spot there and you weren't going to give it up. So how far were the imaginary doors on that F3 sticking out?
Pretty wide. I was, he wasn't going to go past easy, that's for sure. There's just a couple of spots there, like if you can hold turn 1 just on the outside, just enough to tuck in at turn 2, and then same at Honda. If you can, it's hard to do, but if you hold the outside, you can sort of just hold them out. But I managed to do it, so.
I was seeing there that a few of the guys, so coming into the Great Southern Loop now, the rule normally is in a race you hug it tight so that no one can get up the inside of you. But we saw the slingshot that the double apexing that corner really gave you. So, did you face with that choice many times to stay tight or get the slingshot?
Yeah, well, you're not necessarily on the brakes too hard in the F3 at Southern Loop. You're so there's not a real big lunge, you could say, under the brakes there. So I suppose that's sort of why you can sort of go wider there. But it was good at Honda with them. Okay.
Dean mentioned the cars stepping out there. So did you find yourself on the edge of the limit there coming out of that?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that wasn't so. I was pretty happy at Southern Loop and Honda. It was sort of the only. Yeah, I was actually sort of happy all over the track, but it was just when you're battling with someone like I was saying around the outside, if you can just hold those couple of corners to sort of, to do your tricks and that. So it worked out for me. So I'm happy, man.
Well, mate, how does this, not only getting into the top 5, but how does this performance kind of feel for you now coming towards the end of the season and heading into next season with a new car coming in with the SF24? And does it kind of at least lift the spirits a little bit leading into Mugello next week and then into our new season ahead for season 2?
Yeah, 100%. I haven't bought the new car yet, but I've heard good things about it in terms of grip-wise, so I look forward to that. And, it's been good about sort of an up-and-down season, so, always just boost your spirits up, mate, and have a win. So, looking forward to next round.
Very good, mate. Are we going to see Mr. Gretton out on track next season, possibly? I've seen he's been doing some driving recently.
Yeah, he's been building his rating up, so hopefully if we can get him in there consistently, you could say.
We'll have to wait and see. But congratulations once again, mate, on P1 for the Primes here tonight. Let us know who's giving you and CXR the support out there and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks to you guys for the broadcast and SRW and everyone that races. And thanks to Shunt Scenery, Palmerston Bakery, DSM Painting Contractors, Doom Designs, and Poolmaster Bayside. Thanks to all those guys. Cheers.
Very good, mate. Well, congrats once again. Best of luck out at Mugello next week, and if we don't speak to you, best of luck in Season 2.
Thanks, lads. Bye.
Thanks, mate. Well, we will now bring in Mr. Scott Pocock. Mr. Pocock, P3 on the road here tonight, somehow miraculously getting home what I can only assume was an oily rag in the end. You nearly pulled off the win. Maybe another safety car would have gotten you just enough of a break to save some fuel, but Dylan and Greg, they were fast approaching in the end, but P3 still got to feel pretty good after a pretty destructive lap 1 incident that happened.
Well, I was not the cause of the pit straight or the starting straight accident, but the car in front of me did not move off the line, and by the time I realised he wasn't moving, I had hit him and then crawled back, and that's when I put as much fuel in as possible, and yeah, so end of lap 1 pit. That's all I did. So yeah, she was coughing and spluttering, come down that straight for the photo at the end there.
Did you think it was a gamble? Did you think it was a gamble when you made that call to stay out?
It was, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I knew I was going to have to fuel save, and I only used the iRacing like auto fuel thing, whatever you call it. And of course, when you chuff around behind the safety car for a few laps, it's not overly accurate. It sort of looks at what's been happening in the last few laps. So I got it down as zero litres to add, but then it sort of crept up to 2.5 litres add. So I had to back off and try, lift off early going in the corners and all that kind of hoo-ha.
Was it a hard save? Because it looked like, I mean, it was probably costing you about 0.5 second a lap, but I mean, that's not too bad in the scheme of things.
I've been getting better with the fuel saving, and it's just like in real life where they talk about rolling off the throttle before the braking zone and things like that. So you full throttle, so it's throwing heaps of juice at the engine, but you're actually you're not making a whole lot of ground up at that top speed, 6 gear coming into a braking zone. So you just roll off maybe at 50 meters before you're going to brake.
I suppose you're going a bit slower, so it enables you to brake a bit deeper, and you can make it pick it back up on that.
Yeah, and
well.
I found that the consistency increased too because I wasn't pushing hard into the corners. So maybe a win-win there.
Well, mate, I suppose it was almost a luck of the draw off that early incident happening. It managed to give you a little bit of an edge over the rest of the field, and it managed to help you come home in P3. How are you feeling going into Mugello next week? Of course, that track, absolutely phenomenal and open wheel is. And how are you feeling for that being the final send-off for the F3 car?
Yeah, it's a great track. It'll be sad to say goodbye to this thing. I've raced it a lot over the years, so let's give it a good old crack.
Very good, mate. Well, let us know who's giving you Red Rocket Racing the support out there. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well?
Yeah.
And once again, congratulations on P3.
Yeah, thanks. I'd like to thank the guys that were in the Discord chat with me, my teammate Chris, and we had Callan and Pete in there as well. So we just always talk about the strategies and fuels and whatever. So yeah, thanks to those guys.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck out at Mugello. I'm sure it'll be a tearful end to the F3's life here in SRW, and if we don't speak to you, mate, best of luck next season with the new challenges ahead of the new Super Formula Light coming in.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Well, then, Cowie, we will bring in Mr. Bradley, who was P2 on the road in the end. We'll see what he has to say. Mr. Bradley, unfortunate not to get there in the end over Mr. De Bono, but you guys are having an absolutely epic battle there across the end of the run, and then you come up on Mr. Pocock, who just has to let you through because he's running out of juice. But how does that one feel for you, mate, gaining some points on the leaders in this championship? Maybe not as much as what you would have hoped, but you still got a little bit on them coming into the final round.
Yeah, I certainly tried. Dylan just, one lap not enough maybe at the end there. But I didn't have a great race 1, so made up for it in race 2.
We saw early on in race number 2, you and your teammate there sort of able to try and sort of hold off Dylan, but that looked like hard work because he was coming at you guys constantly.
Yeah, I could see on the relative the fast guys were coming, and I was just doing everything I could to try and bridge a gap, waiting for the inevitable to happen.
Well, you say that, the fast guys, buddy, but, you're taking the step up from Pro-Am into the pros and you're putting it on the podium, so you must be doing something right.
Yeah, it's been in general, pretty good season. I've made a few mistakes, which have been a bit costly. So maybe next time I'll do a little better, a bit cleaner.
Well, mate, it's looking like that you could be very likely for that top 3 in the championship now, but it's going to be between you, your teammate Andrew, and then Will Ryan, who had a bit of a poor performance out there tonight. So he's actually dropped a fair chunk of points to both you guys. When it's going to come between you and Andrew, obviously he's kind of got P1 in the Pro-Ams a little bit wrapped up at the moment. Do you reckon there might be some reprieve to say, hey, you can actually have P3, Greg, because you're in the pros and that'll give you an overall podium? Or is it going to be, hell for leather, all in, all out between you both next week?
Yeah, it'll be hell for leather. Once he takes those Pro-Am sandbags out as well, he'll be flying. It's a tough man to get by sometimes.
Oh, mate. Well, congratulations on P2 here tonight. It was an epic battle towards the end game. Me and Cowie, plenty of discussions to be had and some great calls as well. Let us know of anyone who gives you any support out there, mate, or anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well. And once again, congrats on that P2.
Thanks, guys. I just got to thank Andrew for keeping me company in all the hours we spend in the sim. For PW for wishing me all the luck, and never can we forget Phil's wife Monica.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck next week out at Mugello for our final swan song of the F3 here in SRW. And if we don't speak to you, best of luck next season with the new challenges to come in the SF24.
Thanks, guys.
Mr. De Bono, another round, another win. And you are just absolutely flying up the front there, mate. You're really putting your name in the hat for someone who's going to be a challenger next season for this championship. How was that battle with Greg, mate? Because from our point of view, it looked absolutely epic across the latter half of that race.
Oh, mate, it was unreal. We had a similar battle in race 1. Didn't quite end up the way you wanted it to, but yeah, Greg, he puts on a fight, that's for sure. We had a good battle, no contact, which is always nice. So yeah, it was good fun,
Now, did you get a window seat to the events in race number 1 there, Dylan? How close to disaster was it for you?
Oh yeah, race 1. I think the car was trying to go around the outside, and I was just turning in for the corner, battling with Greg on the last lap, and then I just see our car fly straight into my airbox, and that was my race done. So that's all right, mistakes happen, but yeah, we'll get after it next time.
I was going to ask you, because I was sort of talked to the other end of the spectrum when we were talking to Dean, and he was saying he was really enjoying coming to a track where, he'd done laps before and felt a bit more confident. Now, as a pro on the other end, is that a better thing for you guys that the rest of the field have got a good amount of laps here, or does it make them maybe push it a bit harder and making mistakes more often?
I mean, you could definitely tell we were racing around a track that everyone knew. The times were a lot closer. The field was a whole lot more competitive. I think it's good. People know where you can and can't pass. But yeah, it's just I think the racing was good tonight, but yeah, just a few silly moves just ruined it for a couple of people. But that's all right.
So just maybe just the pressure, and I suppose being sort of one of the guys at the pointier end, that gives you an opportunity to maybe apply a bit of pressure on the car in front, and wait for him to make that mistake. Does that give you a bit more patience?
Yeah, that's it. You just the track so well. Where mistakes happen because you've done so many laps to learn the track. Where mistakes happen. So you just put a little bit more pressure on those critical corners, and with the slipstream of these cars, if you get a good exit, you're pretty well past them by the end of the straight anyway. So
Now, mate, we know obviously next week's the final round. You're not within this championship battle at this stage. You've been battling it out though on track with the likes of Daniel Byrne, David Gallo, Greg Bradley as well. Next week, obviously, being that those boys will be battling for that championship, are you going to give them any reprieve on track and maybe let them battle it out, or are you going to be right in amongst it and just sinking your teeth into the battles as well with them?
Yeah, obviously there won't be. I'll be racing the same way I've been racing all season. Nothing silly. Not going to go out and ruin someone's race or championship just because I wanted to. Like if that was me, I wouldn't like that either. Yeah, but by no means I'm going to let someone pass just because they're in the championship. That's just not.
That's a
not
very
how.
very fair point, mate. Very very fair point. Well, congratulations on yet another win this season, mate. It was a great performance from you, a fantastic battle to call. Let us know who's giving Velocity Sim Labs the support out there and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Yeah, big thanks to the guys over at Velocity Sim Labs who've been putting in a fair bit of work over the season. With the season wrapping up, we'll be amping up again. Working on this new car, working out the range for the 86. So yeah, we'll be putting in the effort for that. You guys are putting on the broadcast. SIW for hosting the league. It's a great league to be a part of, and yeah, hopefully we'll be back next season.
Very good, mate. Well, congratulations on P1 once again. Best of luck next time out in the final swan song for the F3 out at Mugello. And if we don't speak to you, best of luck next season in the new SF24.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, mate. Well, Cowie, great to speak to our winners and podium finishers here tonight. And it's almost brings a tear to my eye that there's only one race left in the F3 now. But what a great way to round out the droppable rounds section of this season, leading into the final round next week out at Mugello. It's going to be an absolutely epic run to the checkered flag, and I cannot wait to be a part of the action next week.
A night that will live in commentary infamy.
Yeah, in for you.
Yeah, well, you dodged that, but wow, what a night. We've seen all that championship speculation at the start of the night. Well, I think somewhere someone decided to grab the championship and just shake it up and, throw it out and see where, what falls where. Because that was definitely one of those sort of nights where, you thought you had a read on it and then something happened that just completely changes the total perspective. And I suppose, as a watcher and commentator of motor racing, that, they're the spicy moments that, we don't wish them upon anyone, but when they come, oh, God, it's great to have a chat about them.
Well, mate, it's almost like, you thought you knew the game, well, all of a sudden the culture has been changed coming into the final round. It's going to be all on for next time out, ladies and gentlemen, out at Mugello. It's going to be a fantastic race to send off these fantastic Dallara F3 cars. A big thank you goes out to all of our series sponsors, of course, Shannon's Insurance, Warren & Brown Tools, Grim Industries, Motorsport Australia, DSL Rail Services, NeuroPower, and Shunt Scenery. As well as, if you guys haven't already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe as well, and the bell icon so you are notified anytime we go racing across our 6 nights of content that we bring you at the moment for Sim Racing World TV, including our Tuesday night Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercar Series, the Wednesday night Shannon's Insurance Formula 3 Nationals, the Thursday night Shannon's Insurance Toyota GR86 Nationals, which is also a Motorsport Australia official series, the Friday night IMSA Shadow Series brought to you by Warren & Brown Tools, the Sunday night Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercars Pro-Am, and rounding out our racing week, the Motorsport Australia Formula V Nationals, which is also an official Motorsport Australia event. We thank you for your time tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a massive week of racing to come, and then we get into the meat and potatoes of this finale roast coming your way. Round number 9 next week. It's going to be absolutely epic. You do not want to miss the action. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Gallo? Is it going to be Byrne? Or maybe will one of the outliers, one of the dark horses, sneak their way in and shake up the standings once again? For myself, Hamish Munro, and Andrew Cowan alongside me, thank you so much for joining us once again here on Sim Racing World TV. We'll see you next time with JP back in the booth tomorrow night for the Shannon's Insurance Toyota GR86 Nationals. Big shout out to anyone. If you are going to Knotfest tomorrow out in Melbourne and you see a 6'4", rather large man in a V8 Vets hat, well, come and say hi to me because I will be there. out at Flemington Racecourse, but if you're not, then that's fine as well. But we'll see you later, guys. Thank you so much for joining us once again. And from all of us here at SLW TV, thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for bringing us into your home, wherever you may be watching from. And until next time, race hard, race fair, and bye for now.
This is amazing. I was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down to the hill. Sam Noble wants to snip on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because, tell you what, Bruce Tanak and Jamie Dyke just absolutely drove away from us.